I understand your situation is different from mine, but at a certain point, you have to try to look at things with some optimism. As I always say, focus on solutions, acknowledge the problem, but then what are your solutions? That's what I prefer to know. The job market is brutal out there today, but someone managed to succeed. This from Business Insider. Millennial man found a job after 4 years, cutting costs by Jacob Zinkula. And that is the man here, Dan Colflesh, 43. Elder millennial found a job after searching for 4 years and going back to school. And the editors note that they wrote about him in May of 2024. Yeah, so if he's 43 now, then that means that he was likely born in 81 if they're classifying him as a millennial. Because if he was born in 1980, then he'd have to be a Gen Xer. But no, he's a millennial, one of the oldest millennials, just like how I'm one of the oldest Zoomers. No, seriously, everyone who's older than me is either Silent Gen, Boomer, or Millennial. Everyone younger than me is either Zoomer, Alpha, or Beta. But before we learn all about Dan's story, be sure to give this video a like and comment which generational cohort you belong to. Give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and let's get started. During the 4 years Dan Colflesh struggled to find work, he often thought about his upbringing in rural Appalachia. Colflesh was used to pinching pennies as a young person, he told Business Insider, and as his job search dragged on in adulthood, he began actively looking for ways to cut costs. "It's the advice you get when you grow up poor," he said. "If you don't have a lot of money, you can't spend a lot of money. Unless you're willing to use Klarna or something. Buy now, pay later service." To which I say, fuck that. They are predatory businesses that should not exist. I wholeheartedly agree with Dan here. If you don't have the money for it, you can't buy it. Now, the only exceptions I can think of are getting a loan for a house. Maybe that is worth it. As I've said in the past, I am extremely averse to getting into debt. Personally, I get pretty creative by looking at what I have money saved up for long-term things, and then if I need to, I can borrow from that and then just replenish it later. I'll explain more later. Colflesh is one of many Americans who have struggled to find work in recent years. While he landed a job last year, hundreds of others have shared their stories with Business Insider about their long searches and how they've settled for lower paying roles. Although the unemployment rate remains low by historical standards, I'm going to guess by the historical definition that's not really accurate because it only takes into account people who are seeking work, and it doesn't measure labor force participation. Businesses are hiring at nearly the slowest pace since 2013, excluding a temporary dip in 2020. In response, some job seekers have found creative ways to pay the bills, adjust their application strategies, and stay motivated. It's easier not to be stressed about finding a job if you don't have to stress about finances at the same time, said Colflesh 43, who's based in Massachusetts. Hey, fellow Massachusetts man right there. Which, as Business Insider said, is the ninth best state to live in. Oh, and Business Insider is asking if you landed a new job in the last few years and are open to sharing your story. I don't think I'm up for that right now. Cutting costs eased some pressure. Colflesh said he was fortunate that both his wife and mother-in-law, who they live with, have jobs, which helped ease the financial pressure on the household. Still, his family made a number of adjustments to cut costs during his job search. For one, they bought a deep freezer, which allowed them to buy in bulk and freeze meals that Colflesh cooked in large batches. A purchase he believes will save them money in the long run. They also grew some of their own produce in a vegetable garden and smoke cured store bought bacon at home to cut grocery costs. How do you cut costs by smoke curing it? I don't know. Let's keep reading. Additionally, the family decided to stop using one of their two vehicles and dropped the insurance on it, a choice that was feasible because Colflesh wasn't commuting to work. Wait, you can just drop the insurance from a car if you're not using it? But here's the thing, if you don't use it, it's going to atrophy. Probably like move it within the property or something. That's the only thing I can think of that would make sense. Uh, I'm not much of a car guy. You let me know in the comments down below how this would work, as in legally, if something happened with it. I mean, maybe they sell it later in the story. I don't know. I am reading this for the first time, just like you're hearing this for the first time. Colflesh added that YouTube videos helped him handle basic car maintenance himself, so he could save money on mechanic bills. And because he was home more, he was able to help care for his children, which reduced his family's childcare expenses. Colflesh said taking these steps helped him feel less pressure during his job search. Probably because he was doing something more than just sitting down and playing video games. Which I recently watched a video from Tim Pool where he made a really good point about how video games are supposed to be a tiding over, if you will. Like, you're not supposed to play video games from sunrise to sunset because you'll get burned out on them. Which I can vouch for to an extent from last November's massive play sessions of the Pikmin games and Skyward Sword HD. Yeah, those were the ones I played through. And more recently, my push to finish Majora's Mask as soon as possible, which is now going to be known as the last game that I played through on my Switch 1, aside from daily checks for Jolly Red and Animal Crossing New Horizons until my Switch 2 arrives. On a related note, I still haven't gotten the invitation to pre-order from Nintendo directly, so I am very glad that I got in my Walmart pre-order. I sacrificed my sleep for that, so Really hope Mario Kart World is worth it. Positive mindset helped him persevere. In 2015, when he was 34, Colflesh quit his job in the customer service industry to pursue a college degree, hoping it would help him with career growth. 6 years later, he held an associate degree in physics from Holyoke Community College in Massachusetts, and a bachelor's in political science from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. However, Colflesh said that the additional education didn't seem to help him much in the job market and saddled him with student loans. Despite applying for more than 100 jobs, he said he struggled to find work, which led him to pause his search for a few months at a time. Clearly, he didn't follow the Henry's stream of consciousness approach to college. Go in with a plan, knowing exactly what you want to do, and if you don't know what you want to do, don't go. See, this right here is why colleges should either be required to guarantee a job right after graduating or your money back. And again, as I always say, never go into debt for college unless you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or something that is guaranteed to pay big. So you can start paying back those loans right away. But I digress. Because as I always say, taking out a loan for the college experience is no different than taking out a loan for the experience of going to Disney World, as far as I'm concerned. Colflesh said he tried common job search strategies, like tailoring his resume and cover letter to each role, but nothing seemed to work. Then last year, a friend referred him for a job at a tech company that would involve answering phones, scheduling, and triaging customer support tickets. He said the referral helped him land an interview, and by May 2024, he'd accepted a job offer. This isn't really what I was looking for, but it's far from the worst job I've had, he said. During his job search, Colflesh managed stress by hanging out with friends, engaging with his hobbies, and spending time with his family. When he felt discouraged at times, he did his best to retain a positive mindset, which he said was key to staying motivated. Staying positive has to be a choice the person makes, he said. Waiting for the situation to create positivity will likely cause you to feel unmotivated and upset. So keep moving forward because what other option is there? Well, a lot of Gen Z and some other people on YouTube, like younger millennials and such, would say to just give up. Like, I am this close to muting, what's his name again? Deconstructing narcissism because he's just getting really negative. And I'm sorry I called you out by name, but me, I understand your situation is different from mine, but at a certain point, you have to try to look at things with some optimism. As I always say, focus on solutions, acknowledge the problem, but then what are your solutions? That's what I prefer to know. For example, if someone is unemployed, okay, that's a problem. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to apply for jobs? Are you going to do things with the extra free time you now have that could bring in a little more money? Even if it's not a whole ton, it's something, or it's a pathway to it. Like this YouTube channel right here, this is me working my way towards monetization. I know it's going to take a while, but I accept that, and I keep going with my daily uploads to maintain consistency. Yeah, I also wanted to say that Colflesh must have found, I mean, Dan, we don't have to be so formal here. He's Dan to us. Hanging out with friends is definitely a good way to manage stress, especially if you can find low-cost options. You know what? After I record this video, I've got to see if friend who lives within walking distance will be up for coming out to hang out walking around the neighborhood. Like, I still haven't even brought up the possibility of that. Obviously, I'm not going to do that right now at this very second, but I'm definitely going to see if he'd be up for that in the future. Question now is, what are the other low-cost ways to do that? So, I think I'm going to wrap it up on that note. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of Dan's story, whether you've gone through a similar experience and have any wisdom about that. I'd love to hear some advice. Me personally, I just lived with my parents until I got the movie theater job I told you about between the end of college and that. So I don't know if that's particularly great advice, but it's definitely something to consider if you have the option. Obviously, if you don't have that option, like Brandon from Deconstructing Narcissism because of his narcissistic parents, which I don't think I'm going to say anything more on that because I don't want to say anything insensitive. I'm just going to say I'm really sorry that he is in that position and doesn't have the option to just move in with parents to eliminate the rent costs. So yeah, you give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos. I'll see you soon.